The massive ship appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. One moment the space around Earth was empty, the next a vessel larger than any human structure hung above the blue planet. The world watched in stunned silence as smaller craft departed from the mothership and descended toward Earth. Captain Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the EDF Valiant, Earth's newest defense vessel. His knuckles turned white as he gripped the command rail. "Orders, sir," asked his first officer, Beth Collins. "Hold position." "Do not power weapons," Daniel said. His voice remained steady despite his racing heart. "Let's see what they want before we start a war we can't win." The alien ships landed in major cities across the globe. When the doors opened, humans got their first look at the Caldari. Tall, slender beings with pale blue skin and 4 arms. They moved with grace that seemed impossible for their height. In New York, Lisa Donovan pushed through the crowd that gathered around Central Park. As the lead xenobiologist at Columbia University, she needed to see the aliens up close. The military held people back, but Lisa flashed her government clearance badge. "Let her through," a soldier said. A Caldari stepped forward from the ship. It wore what appeared to be ceremonial robes adorned with strange symbols. When it spoke, a device at its neck translated. "We come in peace. We are the Caldari Confederacy, travelers of the stars. Your world has caught our attention, and we wish to welcome you to the galactic community." The crowd cheered. Humanity was not alone. Within days, the Caldari established communication with Earth's leaders. They offered knowledge, technology, and trade. Overnight, the world changed. Major Frank Garrison wasn't convinced. He sat across from Daniel Wright in the Valiant's mess hall, speaking in hushed tones. "They're hiding something," Frank said. "No advanced civilization just hands over technology without wanting something in return." Daniel nodded. "I've been thinking the same thing. But what can we do? The world governments are falling over themselves to sign agreements." Frank leaned forward. "We prepare, quietly." Lisa Donovan noticed it during her third meeting with the Caldari science team. A slight change in posture when humans struggled with a concept. A quick glance between aliens when humans expressed excitement over basic technology. The Caldari were patronizing them. She brought her concerns to the Joint Committee overseeing alien relations. "I think they see us as primitives," Lisa explained. "The way they interact with us. It's like how we might treat children." Alan Peters, the committee chair, dismissed her concerns. "They shared medical technology that's already saving lives. They've offered cleaner energy solutions. Why would they do that if they meant harm?" Lisa couldn't answer that question, but the feeling persisted. 6 months after first contact, the Caldari had established outposts in 12 countries. They shared limited technology, medical advancements, improved power generation, faster communications, nothing that could be used for defense. On the Valiant, Daniel received a new crew member, Kate Peterson, an engineer with unusual ideas about the Caldari tech. "Their systems are standardized," Kate explained as she showed Daniel her findings. "Every piece of tech follows the same basic principles. It's efficient but predictable." "How does that help us?" Daniel asked. "If we ever needed to counter their technology, this predictability could be a weakness." Daniel studied the young engineer. "Let's keep this between us for now." On Earth, the Caldari ambassador addressed the United Nations. "We are pleased with humanity's progress. You learn quickly for a young species. The Confederacy looks forward to further cooperation." In the back of the room, Lisa Donovan watched the ambassador's eyes. They didn't match the friendly words. She slipped out of the meeting and found a secure line to call Major Garrison. "Something's coming," she said. "I don't know what, but we need to be ready." As Lisa spoke, deep in the Caldari mothership, the Supreme Commander reviewed the final plans for Earth's subjugation. The humans had proven useful, revealing their technology and defenses willingly. Now it was time to claim this resource-rich world for the Confederacy. Earth's darkest day was about to begin. The attack began at dawn. Without warning, The Keldari ships in orbit fired energy beams at Earth's military bases. The few human defense satellites were destroyed in seconds. Daniel Wright was woken by alarms blaring throughout the Valiant. He rushed to the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. "Status report," he shouted as he entered. "Keldari ships are attacking Earth, sir," Beth Collins said. Her face was pale. "All major defense installations hit simultaneously. We're receiving distress calls from every continent." Daniel watched the tactical display in horror. The Keldari mothership had launched hundreds of smaller attack vessels. Earth's defense fleet was being torn apart. "Get us out of here," Daniel ordered. "Full power to engines and shields. We need to survive to fight back." The Valiant shuddered as it accelerated away from Earth. A Keldari cruiser turned to pursue them. "Evasive maneuvers," Daniel called. "Kate, can you get us more power?" In engineering, Kate Peterson worked frantically, redirecting power from non-essential systems. "We'll have 10% more to shields and engines, but it won't last long." The Valiant dove into Earth's shadow, using the planet to block the Keldari sensors. The pursuing ship passed overhead, missing them. "Set course for the dark side of the moon," Daniel said. "We'll hide there and assess the situation." On Earth, Lisa Donovan watched the sky burn from her lab window. The Keldari attacked New York with precision. Their ships targeted military and government buildings first, then communication centers. Civilians ran screaming through the streets. Lisa grabbed her research materials and a small device she had been studying. She needed to get to the emergency bunker beneath the university. As she ran down the hall, a Keldari soldier stepped out of a classroom. It raised its weapon. Lisa ducked as energy blasts hit the wall behind her. She rolled into a side room and slammed the doors shut. There was a maintenance tunnel in the floor. She pulled open the hatch and dropped inside just as the door burst open. Across the city, Frank Garrison led a group of soldiers and civilians through subway tunnels. The Keldari had bombed the bridges and major roads, trapping people in Manhattan. "Keep moving," Frank said to a woman who had stopped to catch her breath. "They're deploying ground troops. We need to reach the underground command center." "Why are they doing this?" the woman asked. "We gave them everything they wanted." "Because we have what they need," Frank said grimly. "Resources, labor, a planet with the right atmosphere. We're not allies. We're property." The Keldari broadcast their victory across Earth's remaining communication networks. Their supreme commander appeared on screens worldwide. "People of Earth, your military forces have been defeated. Your governments have surrendered. The Keldari Confederacy now claims this world as a protectorate. Resist and face extinction. Comply and live under our guidance." The message was also sent throughout the galaxy. Other alien civilizations watched as the humans were crushed in less than a day. Many laughed at how easily Earth fell. Some even congratulated the Keldari on their efficient conquest. Susan Miller had been a high school teacher before the attack. Now she led 30 survivors through the ruins of Chicago. They moved at night, hiding from Keldari patrols during the day. "We need supplies," Greg, a police officer, said. "Food, medicine, weapons if we can find them." Susan nodded. "There's a store with a basement 3 blocks from here." The Keldari might not have found it yet. "And then what?" a teenager asked. "They control everything. How can we fight back?" "We start small," Susan said. "Gather information. Find others like us. The Keldari think they've won, but they don't understand humans. We don't give up." In the darkness of the moon's far side, the Valiant powered down to minimum systems. Daniel Wright gathered his senior officers. "Earth has fallen," he said, "but this is just the beginning. The Keldari think they've defeated humanity. They're wrong. Now the real battle begins." 3 years passed under Keldari rule. Earth changed beyond recognition. Great processing plants rose where cities once stood. Humans worked as slaves, mining resources and operating machines. The alien rulers lived in floating citadels above the ruins, rarely setting foot on the ground they now owned. Susan Miller's resistance group had grown. What started as 30 survivors was now a network of over 200 fighters spread across the old Midwest. They called themselves the Ghosts. Susan studied the map spread across the table in their underground bunker. Red marks showed Caldari facilities. Blue marks showed other resistance cells they had contact with. The processing plant outside Detroit is vulnerable, she said to her leaders. Their patrol schedule has a 5-minute gap we can exploit. Greg, now her second-in-command, nodded. If we hit them fast enough, we can grab medicine and tech before they respond. And we need both, Susan added, especially with winter coming. On the other side of the world, Lisa Donovan worked in a Caldari research facility. The aliens had recognized her intelligence and put her to work studying Earth biology. They didn't know she was secretly gathering information about them. Lisa carefully placed a blood sample under a microscope. The Caldari guard watched her without interest. These routine tests meant nothing to him. He didn't know Lisa had added a special compound to the sample. The cells reacted strangely to the compound. Lisa kept her face neutral, but inside she felt a surge of excitement. This could be the weakness she had been searching for. Frank Garrison led a team through the sewers beneath Boston. 3 years of fighting had left him with a scar across his face and a metal brace on his left leg, but his determination had only grown stronger. "Movement ahead," whispered Jane, his scout. "Caldari patrol, 3 of them." Frank signaled his team to stop. They couldn't afford a firefight here, too close to their hidden base. Suddenly, the tunnel shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The Caldari patrol looked up, distracted by the rumbling. "Now," Frank ordered. His team moved silently, taking down the aliens before they could raise an alarm. The rumbling grew louder. Frank felt a familiar vibration in the concrete. "That's not an earthquake," he said. "That's engines. Big ones." The team rushed to a maintenance shaft that led to the surface. Frank peered through the grate. His eyes widened. A huge ship descended through the clouds. But it wasn't Caldari. It was the EDF Valiant. Dangle Wright's hands gripped the controls as he guided the Valiant down through Earth's atmosphere. For 3 years, they had hidden in the outer solar system, gathering supplies from abandoned mining outposts and making modifications to the ship. "Stealth systems holding," Beth Collins reported. "Caldari detection grid hasn't spotted us yet." "Any response to our coded transmission?" Daniel asked. Kate Peterson monitored the communications array. "Nothing clear, but I'm picking up increased chatter on the resistance frequencies." "They know we're here." Daniel nodded. "Take us down to the landing coordinates. We need to make contact with the ground forces." The Valiant landed in the ruins of the National Forest. Trees had grown back around craters left by the initial bombardment, providing natural cover from Caldari scanners. Daniel led the first team out. The air smelled different after 3 years away. Thinner, with a metallic edge from Caldari processing plants. A group of armed humans emerged from the trees. Frank Garrison limped at their front, his weapon raised. For a moment, the 2 groups stared at each other. Then Frank lowered his gun. "Took you long enough, Captain," he said. Daniel grinned. "Had to make sure we came back with something useful." The ship's cargo hold opened. Inside were weapons, medical supplies, and communication equipment collected from across the solar system. But most importantly, there were plans, detailed schematics of Caldari technology that Kate had analyzed during their exile. "We're not just fighting back anymore," Daniel told Frank as they walked toward the ship. "We're taking our planet back, and the Caldari won't be laughing when we're done." Lisa Donovan presented her findings to the resistance leaders gathered in the hidden bunker. Her hands shook slightly with excitement as she displayed the samples. "The Caldari have a weakness," she said. "Their cells break down when exposed to a specific frequency of radiation, a frequency we can generate with modified human technology." Susan Miller leaned forward. "Are you saying we can hurt them? Actually hurt them?" More than hurt them, Lisa replied. This radiation disrupts their nervous system. It won't kill them instantly, but it will disable them. And they have no protection against it because this frequency doesn't exist naturally in their home system. Daniel Wright studied the data. How do we weaponize this? Kate Peterson had been quiet, but now she spoke up. I can modify our communication equipment to emit this frequency. It won't have much range, but it could clear a building or disable a patrol. That's just the beginning, Frank added. We've been collecting Caldari tech from raids. Kate's team has been taking it apart, learning how it works. Kate nodded. Their technology is advanced but standardized. Once you understand the basic principles, you can predict how everything works. They value efficiency over innovation. And that's where we have the advantage, Daniel said. Humans adapt. We improvise. Across the globe, resistance cells received the new information. Small victories began to add up. A Caldari patrol disabled by radiation emitters. A supply depot raided using hacked Caldari access codes. A communication tower reprogrammed to send false reports. In the Caldari Command Citadel, Supreme Commander Zivax reviewed the reports with growing concern. These attacks show coordination, he told his officers. The humans are organizing faster than we anticipated. They are still primitive, his second-in-command said dismissively. Their weapons are mostly stolen from us. We control the orbital platforms. They cannot win. Do not underestimate them, Zivax warned. There is something unusual about how quickly they adapt to our technology. On the other side of the galaxy, news of human resistance reached the Great Assembly, where representatives from all spacefaring civilizations gathered. Most found it amusing. The humans still fight, laughed the Vorton delegate. How quaint. The Caldari crushed their military in a single day. What hope do scattered rebels have? Perhaps they simply don't understand they've lost, said another alien. Primitive species often struggle with complex realities. Susan's team moved quietly through the abandoned subway system. Above them, Caldari troops patrolled the streets of what was once Chicago. The resistance fighters carried backpacks filled with Kate's modified devices. Remember the plan, Susan whispered. We place the emitters at each marked location. When they activate, the Caldari will be paralyzed for approximately 10 minutes. That's our window to capture the communication hub. Greg checked his weapon. And if something goes wrong, improvise, Susan said with a small smile. That's what humans do best. The operation went perfectly. When the radiation emitters activated, the Caldari guards collapsed. The human team swept in, secured the hub, and downloaded critical data before disappearing back underground. Similar operations occurred simultaneously across the globe. For the first time, the Caldari found themselves on the defensive. Frank Garrison led a team that captured a small Caldari shuttle. Kate immediately began taking it apart, understanding its systems in ways that surprised even her. Their technology isn't actually that far beyond ours, she explained to Daniel. They've just been developing it longer, refining the same basic principles, but they don't innovate like we do. Can you fly it? Daniel asked. Kate grinned. Better. I can improve it. In her lab, Lisa Donovan made another breakthrough. She found a way to embed the disruptive radiation frequency into common materials. Bullets, knives, even cloth could be treated to affect the Caldari upon contact. News of these small victories spread among humans through hidden radio networks. Hope, nearly extinguished for 3 years, began to burn again. In orbit, the Supreme Commander watched as his reports showed increasing human resistance. What had begun as a nuisance was becoming a genuine threat. The humans were not behaving like any conquered species the Caldari had encountered before. For the first time, Zivax felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the captured Caldari warship. 6 months of planning had led to this moment. The human crew worked at alien stations, their movements now confident after weeks of training. All systems operational, Beth Collins reported. The Caldari still think this ship is under their control. Good, Daniel said. Begin approach to the orbital platform. The massive Caldari defense platform hung in space above what was once North America. It controlled the network of satellites that prevented humans from communicating globally. Taking it would change everything. On Earth, Susan Miller watched the mission's progress from the Resistance headquarters. Her network now included thousands of fighters across every continent. Valiant team is in position, Greg reported. Frank's team is ready for the ground assault on the Central Command. Susan nodded, and Kate's surprise. Greg smiled, in place and waiting for the signal. For months, Kate Peterson had led teams of engineers in secret locations around the world. They built weapons that combined human ingenuity with Caldari technology. The aliens never suspected the humans could improve their designs. The Caldari warship docked with the orbital platform. Daniel led the boarding team, weapons ready. The Caldari guards were surprised to see humans in their own armor. Now, Daniel ordered. Lisa Donovan's radiation devices activated. The Caldari fell, their nervous systems overloaded. The human team moved quickly through the station, securing key areas. In the command center, Daniel accessed the main controls. Deactivating defense grid. Susan, you're clear to proceed. On the ground, Susan gave the order. Across the world, resistance fighters launched simultaneous attacks on Caldari facilities. But these weren't just raids for supplies. They were taking control. Supreme Commander Zivax received alarming reports from all sectors. This is impossible, he said. How could they coordinate on this scale? His question was answered when all screens in the command citadel changed to show Susan Miller's face. People of Earth, she said, her voice broadcasting on all frequencies, today we take back our planet. For 3 years we've studied our enemy. We've learned their weaknesses. We've prepared for this day. In the Caldari Central Command, Frank Garrison's team fought their way through the lower levels. They carried Kate's modified weapons that cut through Caldari shields like they weren't there. We're approaching the main power core, Frank reported through his communicator. Kate, are you ready? In a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Kate stood before a massive device of her own design. Ready and waiting, she replied. You just need to connect the link. Frank's team reached the power core. They attached Kate's device to the main conduit. Link established, Frank said. Kate activated her system. Energy flowed from the Caldari power core into a network of hidden human facilities around the world. Lights came on in underground bases that had been dark for years. In orbit, Daniel watched as hundreds of small craft launched from Earth. They weren't Caldari designs. They were human ships built with adapted alien technology. It worked, Daniel said softly. They never saw it coming. The human fleet engaged the surprised Caldari ships. The aliens expected primitive attackers, but these vessels moved in unexpected ways, using tactics the Caldari had never encountered. In the great assembly across the galaxy, the alien delegates watched in shock as live feeds showed humans not just resisting, but winning. How is this possible? The Vorten delegate demanded. They were defeated. An older alien from a species known for its wisdom shook his head. No, they were preparing. Supreme Commander Zivax ordered a retreat to regroup. 1/3 of Earth was now back under human control. His officers couldn't understand how this happened so quickly. They were hiding their true capabilities, Zivax realized. What we thought was their defeat was just the beginning of their real strategy. On the captured orbital platform, Daniel received reports of victories from around the world. Susan's face appeared on his screen. Phase 1 complete, she said. The Caldari are in retreat. Daniel nodded. Tell Kate to begin Phase 2. It's time to show the Caldari what humanity is truly capable of. The moon's surface glowed with lights as the hidden human base revealed itself. For 3 years, Kate Peterson had led a secret team building something no one but the highest resistance leaders knew about. The massive doors opened in the lunar surface. From the darkness rose the EDF Phoenix, humanity's first true warship. Built with Caldari technology but redesigned with human innovation, it was unlike anything seen before in the galaxy. Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the orbital platform and watched the Phoenix emerge. "Beautiful," he whispered. "The Caldari are pulling their forces back to their main fleet," Beth Collins reported. "They're gathering for a counterattack." "Good," Daniel said. "Let them come." On Earth, city after city was liberated. Frank Garrison led troops through the streets of Boston. Civilians cheered as the Caldari troops retreated. In Chicago, Susan Miller walked through a former Caldari processing plant. Human engineers worked quickly to convert the alien technology to serve Earth's needs. "Supreme Commander Zivax has requested communication," Greg told her. Susan nodded. "Let's hear what he has to say." The alien leader's image appeared on the screen. His 4 arms were held stiffly at his sides, a sign of anger in Caldari body language that Lisa Donovan had identified. "This rebellion will be crushed," Zivax said. "The main Caldari battle fleet is already on its way to your system. You have won some small victories, but you cannot stand against our full might." Susan smiled calmly. "You still don't understand humans, do you? We knew your fleet would come. We've been planning for it." She ended the transmission and turned to her staff. "How long until they arrive?" 2 days, Greg answered. "Then we have work to do," Susan said. Across the solar system, human ships that had been hiding among the outer planets began to move. Each had been modified with Kate's improvements, making them faster and more powerful than their original Caldari designs. In orbit around Mars, Lisa Donovan prepared her greatest weapon. Based on her research into Caldari biology, she had developed a radiation field that could affect entire ships without harming humans. "The emitter is ready," she told Daniel over the secure channel. "But it will only work if we can get them to drop their shields." "Leave that to me," Daniel replied. News of the human rebellion spread across the galaxy. Many alien civilizations that had laughed at humanity's quick defeat now watched with growing concern. "The humans are the first species to reverse a Caldari conquest," said the Vorton delegate in the Great Assembly. "Perhaps we should reconsider our position." Other species that had fallen under Caldari rule began their own rebellions, inspired by Earth's resistance. The Caldari battle fleet arrived, hundreds of warships filling Earth's orbit. Supreme Commander Zivax stood on the bridge of his flagship, confident in his overwhelming force. "Begin bombardment of all human strongholds," he ordered. But as the Caldari ships moved into position, they found themselves under attack from all sides. Human vessels appeared from hiding places around the moon, from Earth's atmosphere, and from the darkness of space. The Phoenix led the charge, its weapons tearing through Caldari shields with ease. Kate's modifications had given human ships an advantage the aliens never expected. "Impossible," Zivax shouted as reports of losses flooded in. "Their technology is inferior." His tactical officer looked up in shock. "Sir, they're not using our technology. They've improved it." On the Phoenix, Kate Peterson monitored the battle from engineering. "The Caldari flagship's shields are weakening," she reported. "Almost there." Daniel, now commanding the Phoenix, gave the order. "All ships, execute maneuver Butterfly." The human fleet moved in perfect coordination, creating a pattern that confused Caldari targeting systems. Their ships fired at empty space while human vessels struck from unexpected angles. The flagship's shields failed. Daniel sent the signal to Lisa's station on Mars. The radiation emitter activated, sending waves of energy through the Caldari fleet. On ship after ship, alien crews collapsed as their nervous systems overloaded. "We have them," Daniel said. "Send the message." Susan Miller's face appeared on every Caldari screen. "Supreme Commander Zivax, your fleet is disabled. Your ground forces are in retreat. Surrender, and we will spare your lives." For the first time in the history of the Caldari Confederacy, a Supreme Commander faced defeat. Zivax looked at the human woman on his screen and finally understood. "We never defeated you," he said slowly. You were just beginning to fight. 1 year after the defeat of the Keldari fleet, Earth had changed again. Cities were being rebuilt. The captured alien technology was now used to heal the planet's wounds. Daniel Wright stood on the observation deck of the Phoenix as it orbited Earth. The ship would soon depart on a diplomatic mission to other worlds that had broken free from Keldari control. "Are you ready?" Beth Collins asked as she joined him. Daniel nodded. "I never thought I'd become a diplomat. I was trained to fight, not talk." "You're perfect for this," Beth said. "You've seen both war and peace. You understand what's at stake." On Earth, in the new United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, Susan Miller prepared for her first address as Earth's representative to the galactic community. Her simple clothes were replaced by a formal uniform that symbolized humanity's new status. "The first delegates from the Free Systems Alliance have arrived," Greg informed her. Susan took a deep breath. "Show them in." 3 alien species entered the room. Once, they had been under Keldari rule, like humans. Now they were allies, looking to form a new power in the galaxy. "Welcome to Earth," Susan said. "We have much to discuss." In her research facility, Lisa Donovan worked with scientists from across the galaxy. Her discovery of the Keldari weakness had made her famous, but she was more interested in using her knowledge to help all species. "The radiation treatment can be modified to cure diseases in 12 different species," she explained to her team. "What we learned fighting the Keldari can now save lives." Frank Garrison oversaw the training of Earth's new defense forces. Young recruits from all nations learned to use the hybrid human-alien technology. Frank walked with a cane now, his injuries from the war finally catching up with him. But his mind was as sharp as ever. "Remember," he told the recruits, "technology is just a tool. Your greatest weapon is here." He tapped his head. "And here." He placed his hand over his heart. The Keldari forgot that. Don't make the same mistake. Kate Peterson had become Earth's most celebrated engineer. Her innovations during the war were now being applied to rebuild civilization. She stood in her workshop, surrounded by projects that would have seemed like magic just 4 years ago. "The new power system is ready for testing," her assistant said. Kate smiled. "Let's see if we can make it even better." In the Great Assembly, Supreme Commander Zavax faced judgment for his actions. The Keldari Confederacy was breaking apart, with many systems declaring independence. "You not only failed to conquer Earth," the Assembly head said, "you triggered a wave of rebellions across the galaxy. The human method of resistance has spread." Zavax looked at the human delegation. Daniel Wright stood among them, representing Earth. "We underestimated them," Zavax admitted. "We thought technology determined superiority. We were wrong." After the assembly meeting, a representative from a powerful alien alliance approached Daniel. "My government once laughed at humanity's defeat," she said. "Now we seek your protection and alliance." Daniel studied her carefully. "Earth doesn't seek dominance, only partnership." "A wise answer," she replied. "Perhaps that is why you succeeded where others failed." Back on Earth, Susan stood on the balcony of the Geneva headquarters. Below, humans and friendly alien visitors mingled in the rebuilt city. 4 years ago, aliens had seemed like gods. Now humans worked alongside them as equals. Greg joined her with reports from across the solar system. "The Mars colony is expanding. The lunar base is now the largest shipyard in this sector. And 17 species have applied to join the Free Systems Alliance." Susan looked up at the stars. "We had a lot of work ahead of us." "Are you worried?" Greg asked. Susan shook her head. "No. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that humans can face any challenge. We adapt. We innovate. We endure." On the Phoenix, Daniel gave the order to depart. The massive ship moved gracefully away from Earth, heading for distant stars. As he watched his home planet grow smaller, Daniel remembered the day the Keldari had first appeared above Earth. They had laughed at humanity's defeat, but they didn't understand. For humans, defeat was just the beginning of the real battle. And humans, as the galaxy was learning, didn't know how to stay defeated. The Phoenix jumped to faster than light speed, carrying humanity's spirit to the stars.